Hi, this is Eva for Once Upon a Timeline. Welcome to Midnight Mandela. How are you guys doing? It's been another crazy week as usual. I don't know about you guys, but I was like beat today. I was just so tired, and I don't know why. I slept plenty, and everybody I know, everybody I dealt with kind of was really tired today. Even the cat slept like crazy. So, and interestingly, usually I have a meeting once every 2 weeks, but they didn't schedule it for this week, so it's next week, which is fine because I was really tired. So all I did was like take a giant long nap, and then my neighbor over there, he took a giant long nap, and the cat took a giant long nap. So I feel a lot better, but not great. But that nap really did help. Like a 3 hour nap. So it was a pretty serious nap. And I don't know. Well, anyway, so for that reason, since I didn't do anything, didn't go to work, didn't go to the meeting, took a long nap, got up, so I'm a little bit organized today. Yeah, who was it that mentioned that we did Shari? Yes, we did lose Eileen Colt. She has a show, or had a show. I do have some details on what happened, but as far as I know, it hasn't been officially released yet. So I'm not really at liberty to totally blab what little I do know. But I can say that it was a natural death. Um, she was a very nice person. I like to think that she's maybe in a better timeline than us or moved on faster than we did because she was a very wise person and a very sweet, kind person. So it's very sad to have her gone out of our timeline. But I do know that well, I can't say I know, but I feel like she's going to be in a lot better place. Yeah, for me it was Eileen Colts. Okay, I'm pretty sure that still was her name. Somebody wrote it Colt, and I was like, is that right? But yeah, I will really miss her. And it's interesting because although I don't think it was related, she hadn't been doing a lot of videos lately. And I had actually wondered how she was holding up because I think a lot of people, maybe like 2 years ago when this whole um, thing kind of started up with the global situation, a lot of people that are very positive people were like, we'll get through this, and it'll all be much better. And I think they really didn't think it would take this long, and that by now, we'd be in the better world and everything would be like unicorns. And so, well, I don't want to belittle it, but I mean, I think people just, and I was one of them, I thought it would be better by now, but it's not. And I still think that we can get there. And there was never any time frames promised. So, but I did wonder about how those people would hold up. And I wonder if maybe, she was just too good a person for here sometimes. I don't know. I'm pretty much just rambling. But definitely is very sad that we won't have her with us. I do think she's in a better place, though. Um, that's why I no longer really say I'm sad for the person who died. I have a feeling that for people like her who are pretty comfortable with themselves and very positive people, that she'll do fine wherever she went. The problem is that we don't get her wisdom anymore and we miss her. So, I think that's the sad part. Yeah, she was a beautiful soul, Shari. I agree with you. Yeah, yeah, she was good at the conference. So, and I know she was a real human because I met her. Yeah, it's gonna be hard. She did have a good run though, I think. Okay, so when there's any information officially released, then if I know that, then I will say what I know. I don't know much more than I already said, anyways. All right, so Okay, where are we? I just gotta look this up because I gotta see who gets the credit. All right, so 9/11 stuff's always getting weird. So I found yet another weird 911 thing. So flight 175. I don't remember this happening, but somebody mentioned it on Retcon that the airplane, they were watching a documentary on the event, and in the documentary they said that the flight was aiming to hit other airplanes. And that was user selfish out 99 on Retcon. So very good find. So it was kind of a question then, all right, if the whole goal was to hit this tower, then why would you try to hit planes on the way? I mean, wouldn't you be like, heading for the tower, right? I mean, is that your goal? You think you're gonna try to like hit planes and stuff? So, and other people were on there. I've seen it mentioned a couple of places. They're like, well, that's kind of impossible because you can't hardly see planes until you get really close, and no, that's not even. But yet here it is in the wiki. Not mentioned as direct as in that documentary, but they're saying that the air traffic controller, Dave Bottiglia, was the first person in the control room to realize Flight 175 had been hijacked. When he directed Flight 175 to turn, the cockpit was unresponsive. Instead, the aircraft accelerated and headed towards the Delta plane, because I guess the Delta plane was near. He then advised the Delta aircraft to take evasive actions. So he is strongly insinuating that he told Flight 175 to turn away, but instead they headed directly towards the Delta plane and accelerated. And again, if you'll recall, these supposed hijackers couldn't even pass the most elementary flight tests and could hardly fly. So it just seems a little strange, all this. But anyway, I don't remember anything about Flight 175 trying to collide with other airplanes on purpose. Moments before Flight 175 crashed, it avoided another near collision with Midwest Express Flight 7, which was flying from Milwaukee to New York. So what, two near collisions? I thought that they had pulled all the planes from well, I don't know, maybe this was the first crash, but I don't know, it just seems pretty bizarre. So then when this happened, the flight controller is like, oh, we might have a hijack over here. Anyway, have you guys heard anything about that? Because I don't recall any attempted collisions. Eileen was a very knowledgeable person. I loved how she explained everything with her soft, sweet voice. Yes, very much, very much. She was on Shane's channel often. Yes, yes. She just was a very sweet person, so it's going to be hard. YouTube took down all the Thermite claim videos. Yeah, you got to go to like BitChute for that now. You can find all that stuff fairly easily over there because their search engine still works in a normal fashion. It doesn't hide all the juicy bits. Most of our leaders are people who were last place finishers in our old homeland world. Yeah, I guess so, huh? Yeah, Shai doesn't remember the collision thing. I don't know. There's a new thing on 911 every 5 seconds, it seems like. Okay. Now this one was found by the Evil Pack Rat, who finds a lot of stuff on Retcons. So good find, Evil Pack Rat. I mean, obviously that's not his name, but username Evil Pack Rat. So he was parent. I don't know if he's got kids or what, but he's realized that Wile E Coyote now has a bunch of red around his eyes. So it's not visible in every screen of it, but some of them they'll just show a lot of like red a circle around the eyes. Some of them it's all red and the eyes are like weirdly stuck together, which I don't remember there being a case when the eyes were not. It's not showing in this one, but some of them the eyes are no longer like separate eyeballs. They're like, that one's weird. Okay, this one shows the red the most. So you can see here the whole, like, I don't even know who would color it like this. This is just a really weird choice. And this is the episode for you kids that were, well, that you that watched when you were kids, where he was the super genius. And so it's called Genius is this one. There was a couple other videos we found that also had it, but it shows it really good in this particular frame. Yeah, so I don't know. Is we going to get more red on Wile E? Or, I mean, this color choice is really stupid looking, if you ask me. I mean, why do you think they would make the effort of going through another color even? I mean, back then it was kind of slow going animating these things. I don't think they would just go, oh, let's just put a whole nother weird, stupid looking color in there. So people are wondering, you know, maybe the coyotes themselves will get more red on the face or something. Is this like foreshadowing a change that's coming? You can see he's also got the yellow eyes now. So there was it a couple of years ago, a lot of cartoons got the yellow eyes. I'm like, what's up with the yellow eyes? I don't recall any creatures having yellow eyes, but now for some reason cartoons do. So, yeah, anybody remember the red, like, eyeball covers? I don't even know what this is. I mean, it's so weird. Looks like he's missing his skin. Yeah, I don't know. So, you know, like I said, sometimes it looks kind of normal when his eyebrows are in a different position, but yeah, the thermite for the Twin Towers, that was one of the old conspiracy theories. But then the video has changed a lot. It's way more smoky. There's more debris left. There's more stuff falling sideways. And now there's a lot of evidence for that dustification thing last I checked. So there's like this additional weird conspiracy theory that showed up. So the thermite thing, I don't know. You know, it's like, well, is it dustification or is it thermite? So the dustification theory wasn't around when I was in that era. But now the theory is that it was like blasted from space with some kind of, you know, demolition beam or something. Yeah, the smoke was light gray and it turned black on the Twin Towers also. That one I have covered in the past. In Facebook groups, people are claiming their eye color keeps changing due to how they feel now, and they also say it has always been that way. Yeah, so when I was a kid, your eye color could not change, but they would say that hazel eyes would change if different lighting. And that was something I really had to pay attention to since I have hazel eyes. Now, frankly, I have not seen my eyes seem to change color, mood or no mood. They do look a little different with different lighting, and if I wear like green, the right kind of green, it makes them look more green, but I have not seen mine. Now, I have seen them slowly changing as the brown is kind of disappearing out of it. They used to be a lot more brown, and now it's almost all green. And those limbal rings, the darkened rings, those showed up maybe 10 years ago. I don't remember them. I remember looking, going, how did I not notice those rings around my eyes? And I think they are, you know, just the colored part, of course. I think they've intensified a little bit with that, but you know, a lot of people have those now. I read someone came out confessing about how they did the job in 9/11. I haven't heard that one. Mine used to be blue, now they're gray. So they used to say that your eyes couldn't change color, but now the story is totally different. So the Facebook groups are accurate according to the current timeline, but Dustification is new. Metal turning to dust while it falls looks weird too. Yeah, and the video makes it look like it's really doing that too. So that's another thing that's interesting. Moneybags had brown eyes until 2019. Yeah, he doesn't remember having brown eyes, right? So in this timeline, I guess he's always had blue. I think more people have blue now. It's kind of interesting to think that this must be how, or this probably is how colored eyes just showed up, you know? Suddenly there were people with blue eyes, and oh, you've always had blue eyes. Building 7 collapsed all by itself and never mentioned in an investigation committee. Yeah, there's tons of stuff, but what's weird is like every couple months there's a new weird thing about 9/11. Like, we just don't get tired of getting stranger after all these years. I mean, come on. Moneybags was Moneybag 76. Yes, for me he was very much Moneybag 76 for a while, and I believe that is the brown-eyed version. Okay, so this is an old near and dear one for me, and I've had this on here before, and it was the oldest video ever that survived till now, and it was 1888 last time I checked, but now it's 1874. So now this is weird because they're kind of saying that it's not really a video. It's kind of like multiple films put together, but yet it plays like a video. And I'm like, is it normal videos of those eras multiple? I don't know. So this one's kind of weird. So it is, but yet it isn't the earliest video. So let me just play it real quick. And the subject material I find very suspicious.
Passage de Venus, 1874. The oldest photographic recording that we have footage of is actually a movie that features the rare passage of Venus over the face of the sun.
So, like, how did we even... Our first ever photographic video. What is that? You know, it looks like a normal video to me, but no, it's kind of a video, but it's not, because it's a photographic video. And how in the heck, if we are new at making videos, the first one is something difficult like the passage of Venus over the sun? Like, our first video is some technical, really difficult thing like that? I mean, I guess you could say that maybe science wanted to take the video, but it still just seems really suspicious to me. So I thought that was weird. And then the next thing that's bizarre is, let's see, somewhere on here I've got, didn't I have that? So the old 1888 oldest video was Roundhay Garden, and they have that on here as the next one. Yep, here we go. All right, so here's the thing. I don't know if you guys can remember this because it was some time ago. Do you remember the old Roundhay Garden scene that I played before? Because this one to me looks a little bit different.
The Roundhay Garden scene, 1888. The Roundhay Garden scene is widely regarded as the first true video.
I'm going to turn off the yapping, but... All right, that's the Roundhay Garden scene now. So, this one's weird to me. I remember there being like a pagoda kind of thing, or some kind of a, like one of those little outdoor, like open air trellis thingies over here. And they didn't have all this wiggly stuff. Like, it wasn't all crazy like that. And I also don't remember... This one has a kind of a weird blur before it jumps back, and I don't remember that. So I just remember this being centered. So, like, why would you take an image with the people off center like that? So I guess from there you could say it's not that off-centered, but there was like more stuff over here. It looks like I keep going like they cut off the rest of it or something. I don't know. So I think that Roundhay Garden has also changed. Yeah, so for me, to clarify, when I played this before, this was the earliest video. This was back when I was watching all these weird photos showing up of like World War I and stuff. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to track the earliest videos, 1888. So apparently we're sort of at 1874. And that Passage of Venus thing, I have never seen that before. The runner-up before was this one where they had multiple photos of horses, of a horse racing. And they were, because the story is they didn't exactly know what the feet did when a horse was running really fast. And so somebody set up all these cameras and took many, many, many photos really close together as this horse ran by. And then they could kind of stick all the photos together and make a pretty good video of the horse running. But it was all multiple, like many, like there was like 20 cameras all lined up. That's how he did it. There's not much word on how they made this weird Passage of Venus video, but it looks like that might be sort of the new first video. They're so tricky the way they do these, because like it is the first video but it's not. And yeah, I remember it was centered. Saw the first time in 2017. Yeah, I'm not saying I think this was the first video like 20 years ago, but a couple years ago when I started really digging, this was the first video, was Roundhay Gardens, 1888. And I just remember 1888, and it's a bunch of eights. So actually this Roundhay, it looks a little clearer to me, but then it's got all this going on over here. Look at it one more time. So right there, see how it does this weird blur and then jumps back? That's not how it was before. It would just jump back, but no blur. Anyways, so yeah, that's changed. All right, now this one, I've covered somewhat that fish were starting to be warm-blooded. Used to be just warm-blooded and cold-blooded, but now we've got all these kind of sort of different ones, like it's sort of warm-blooded. So last time I covered bluefin were one of them, and they're not calling it warm-blooded, they're calling it endothermic. So they're like able to keep their temperature up more than the surroundings, but yet they're not totally controlled. So it does still vary with the temperature of the water. So this is a new bit that showed up. Let's see, who found this one? Mark Tyus found this one. Good find. Definitely good find. Good find. So now they're saying, and I used to watch these fishing videos all the time, and they never talked about this. Now, they would talk about fish getting tired out from the battle on the end of the line when they were reeling them in. But now, bluefins are endothermic, capable of producing their own heat. Yes, that's the newer thing. And this story now is, during the stress of capture, they can become so hot that they literally cook themselves, a phenomenon known as burn. This can only be avoided by raking the freshly caught fish's gills and bleeding it out. So that's all creepy, and it sounds all torturous, like they're torturing this thing. So they're basically like injuring the gills, and then they kind of like cool it down really fast. I don't know. It's really ew. I mean, I don't know. Like, I guess I'm not even for fish torture. I mean, these are big animals, and you're doing this. I've never heard of that. I've never seen it. I don't think it was there because I don't think they were endothermic before. All fish were cold-blooded. Exactly. A photo from Olympics at 1900 where a horse is jumping from a fence. Totally clear, no blur. I know, yeah. You know, they could not make those. They had to sit real still. They could not do action photos back then for me. A video of the sun back then. How did they focus so clearly? Yeah, I mean, it's so complicated. Yeah, so they're basically saying if they don't do this, then the fish will like overheat and the flesh will be damaged, and then they won't get any money for it. It's gross. So good job, Mark Tyus. So Mark Tyus also found that thumbnail. So what is that thing? It's kind of hard to see it from that angle, but it's a manta ray. So apparently now there's a pink manta ray, just one, but you could pretty much guess that more will show. There's supposedly only one, but it's known since 2015, and it's like well known. I don't think that this thing was here since 2015. There's intermittent sightings. It's 11 foot long. We just had a thing on a few weeks ago about these mantas are getting really big. The other thing I noticed is, so part of the reason that image is confusing is because these, whatever they call these flaps around the side of the mouth, they're getting huge now. I mean, it's crazy. I don't remember them being that big. Even these smaller ones have really big flaps, whatever they call those things. I think it started out, it was just a little tiny bit, and then it's just grown and grown, and now they look like they have rudders on their mouth or something. So this shows the angle better. See these things? I mean, that's crazy. So they've altered a lot for me, a lot. Dark Wolf's Den's in the house. Welcome. Hope you are doing good at your new digs. Our blood used to be blue under the skin until it was exposed to oxygen, nitrogen, and the air used to be like 70% oxygen. Yeah, that was the story. Now they've got this weird storyline why the veins still look blue, but the blood's not blue. It's really just kind of darkish red, but it just somehow looks blue. It's ridiculous. That one thing makes me really wonder about reality, because how come that you look at your veins and they look blue? I mean, I know there's a storyline, but it sounds so ridiculous. Every creature is pink. Yeah, I think we're going to see some kind of pink actual line of them showing up. This is just like the first volley. Dark Wolf's Den's doing good at the new digs. I'm glad to hear it. I don't know if you heard, but I guess I'm not super shocked that the recall election for the governor here did not do well. Of course, for a while there, it looked like we would totally win, but then suddenly, supposedly, the polls say it changed. I don't know. This place is always telling us we can't see what we actually see. Yeah, that's a good, interesting point there. Do you trust your own experiences, or do you trust what they tell you is reality despite your own eyes? Which one do you trust? All right, let's see. So I'm kind of burning along, so if you guys have anything to add, I kind of have 2 pages of it, but I'm not really talkative today, so it won't last long at this rate. Okay, next one. Vitruvian Man. I believe it has changed again. Not in a super amazing way, but I'm like too lazy to bring up my indicator photos. I did go through my indicator photos. I didn't see any other obvious changes other than Vitruvian Man. Okay, so this is what I think is suspicious. I don't remember the two right feet recently both pointing forward. And now we have these two left, well, the feet on this side now. So this, my screen capture will be reversing this guy. So you're seeing him opposite of how he really is. So these ones will be on the other side, and these ones will be on the other side on the real one. But still, I don't remember these two both being forward. So originally I remember them each, there was 3 legs, and 3 sets of legs, and they all pointed, they were symmetrical, so they all pointed out. So like this one would be the closest, and then all of them would be like that. Then quite some time ago it switched to 2 sets each. Now these feet just keep switching around. It's crazy. This black blob here has gotten darker. Now there's a black blob up here. What is all this circle stuff? Let me just see if that's in all the images, because I just realized this arm did not have all this stuff on it before. Okay, it doesn't look like they all have that. But they do all seem to have that stain on the boob zone view. Okay, that arm. So here's what I saw on this one. This staining here was not there. Here, there was no cut across there. That's very suggestive. The choice of where the cut is at. Here there had been some dashed lines, but they're a lot more extreme now. And this, it's like blocked in at the chest now, and I don't remember the lines like at the neck here and here. So it's just this and this one. And then these ones also had the lines here and here, and now they don't have the lines. And this line is not right at the cleft of the arm area either, like it was before. It's out here. So that's kind of strange. So anyway, yes, changes definitely. Looks like he's getting a big eye bag over on this side that I don't. So the 2 sides of the face have been different for a while, but it looks like he's got kind of punched over here. This one is a lot larger than over here. Oh, I see now there's a cut, a line cut at the top of the head here too. I mean, I don't see why you do that, because the hairline is different on every man, so there'd be no point in that. The other thing I'm seeing is these like kind of back shadings. I don't remember there being a bunch of back shading. There was a little bit recently, but now there's a lot more. So just like straight lines like that. I don't remember that. So this guy just keeps changing. It looks like there's a couple divots here in the stomach region. 1, 2, 3 diamonds. I don't remember diamonds there. But it's mostly the cuts. Man, he really does look like he got punched over here. His cheek is all swollen. It's not there. This eye with a big bag and it's open. This one's not. Something looks fishy with vitruvian. Take a look at these ones. So you can really see the lines there. I've never seen any images like that one. Yep, okay, still shows it. So you can see the feet really good. The cuts here, it just, why are they there? They used to be, you know, at least kind of logical, and the stain is really a lot more than it was. I don't remember this stain either. I don't remember this funky shadowing on the hands either. And I don't remember this, like, I don't know, is that supposed to be shadowing over here? So, yeah, I don't know. Do you guys remember those changes? Because it looks weird to me. He looks like the portrait of Dorian Gray. Yeah. He has a tattoo. Does he have a tattoo? Wait, where does he have the tattoo? Where is it? Actually, the hair here looks like it's grown out a little bit. There's like these kind of fingers or spiky bits coming up on this hair too. It wasn't quite that bushy before. I do think there might these little this little cleft area here. I don't quite remember that, but I wouldn't swear to it. So where's the tattoo at though? Are you just joking? I'm not sure. Don't remember half his hand being black. Yeah, the shadowing. I don't remember that. Davinci Man had 6 lines. I don't even know what is Davinci Man. Davinci Man. Davinci Man? Okay, so Davinci Man is Vitruvian Man. I've not heard of Davinci Man. Okay, so there is no Davinci Man. It's just Vitruvian Man. Is that what they called it in your timeline, Davinci Man? I've never heard of that terminology before. No, he has his sex. Those are them. So there's this weird ball thing here. They're saying it was a what do you call that? When part of your intestine sticks out a little bit, like it's a hernia. They're saying that's a hernia. My old guy didn't have that. He did not have a hernia. It looks like a guy is standing behind him. Yeah, doesn't it, kind of? Yeah, you know, you're right. It I don't know, it kind of just there's something maybe a little different about how the legs separate now, but I can't quite put my finger on it. His ding dong looks bigger. Maybe. I'm not sure on that one. It kind of looks a little misshapen now more than I remember. Like, what's up with it? It looks like kind of goes zoop, zoop. So I don't know. I mean, really? Guys don't have that shape. What is that shape? Now the more I think about it, there's like no way. It's all narrow at the base and it gets bigger than it gets narrow again. Like, wait a minute. How did I think about it? Maybe it's Davinci Man in another language. I waited 10 minutes and I thought the show does not take place. It was only like 2 minutes late today. Wasn't too bad. Preliminals in. Yeah, I kind of didn't call out people today. I don't know. You know, the call out, a lot of people do that and it is polite to call out. But then all these different people come in and out the whole time and you can't keep track. The other thing that's good about the call out as a kind of, if your brain is not like engaged yet, you can kind of kick into the show. So you can kind of tell when I'm more spaced out because I'll do the call out as I'm trying to, wake up. Today, after that super long nap, I was kind of more alert than I have been. It's amazing what like doing nothing and resting will do for a person. All right, now Spalding, that company called Spalding that makes like tennis rackets, tennis balls, famous sports company. How is that spelled? No cheating now, just from memory. How do you spell Spalding? And meanwhile, I'm gonna. So this one is from Elijah Thinks, user on Retcon. Does not remember the current. Actually, I think that one might have been on Mandela Effect group, subgroup, subreddit. That would be the word. I think. I'm not sure which one of those two I got that off of. But anyway, it's Elijah Thinks, so good find. Elijah. And now that's the Spalding one. And then I'm going to go over India just because the shape, I don't know, the shape of India just gets weirder. So the shape was brought up by @man233, user on Retcon. I think I've covered this before, but it just keeps getting weirder. So I remember India kind of like this. Let's see if I can find a map of it separately. So if you can find the separate outline here, it really highlights how strange it looks now. This is the outline of India now. So it's got like this tumorous growth over on the side. Now remember, this is reverse. So for you, the real one would be, this one would be on this side. So unfortunately, that's not ideal when we're looking at maps to have it all reversed. But still, so this goes off to the right on the real map. I don't remember this tumorous outgrowth. I also do not remember all this business. It's got like a head. I remember it kind of being flattish across the top and coming down. I also don't remember these two like fingers. So for me, they're sticking off that way. Like this. I don't know what this is going on here on this edge is like. No, I don't. It looks like little tail fin or something. I'm almost wondering if all the countries will turn into shapes of creatures, and if this one is, because it's starting to look rather organic in there. So yeah, India, what the F, people? Spalding. I guess if our biology changes, then so would the reference drawings. To some extent, yes. And I definitely feel like the torso area has changed to look like the current people. However, whether or not you draw lines across certain parts or not, or make the face look different on one side than the other, or how many sets of appendages you choose to have, those things don't need to change just because anatomy changes. So that's weird. Okay. The only Spalding I know is from Tintin. Yeah, I don't know if Spalding is really a big company globally. I thought it was, but it may not be. India grew sideways. I don't know. It grew that tumorous extra portion. So as far as I know, OBS Studios, which is this program, reverses the images. I mean, it was always like that before. So if it's not right now, then don't ask me. All right, so for me, Spalding tennis was Spaulding. For, I think this is an older Mandela. And it's been spalding for a while, but when somebody wrote this and said they remembered Spalding, that really does look right to me. Spaulding. But the actual company now is spalding. So this is them now. I probably shouldn't have clicked on an ad. Of course, the Target logo also looks totally insane. It just looks like a dot now. So yeah, Spalding now, spalding. Also, you know, now that you mention Target, let me get this bag I have. It shows the old version. See if you can see this. So the bags still retain how I remember them. Hopefully you can see this. Woo! Hopefully it'll come up here in a second. God, there's a longer delay than I thought. My eyes are acting weird, getting tired and unfocused very easy. So do you guys, maybe, I don't know, maybe you're just getting some of that shift or something that I feel like we had here. I'm looking at myself showing the bag to make sure you could see it. Yeah, you could see it. So yeah, the bags still reference the old logo, which is, I find, really interesting. I don't know, it's probably just a kind of, it's a red that's got a lot of orange in it, but it is still red for me. It could be that my screen just kind of sucks. Strange stabbing headache for a short time, no migraine. Yeah, I'm just wondering, is that shift sickness for you? Is that how you experience it? So I did have like a headache and I just felt crappy, and I actually took some aspirin, and I found that when I get that weird feeling, the aspirin does help quite a bit. I've got this 8-hour slow release aspirin stuff I use that works really good. You can buy it from you buy it and it's called arthritis style because it has the slow release. I don't have arthritis, but man, it works for everything. It seems like it lowers the inflammation. It's not really pain that I experience, but there's like an inflammation thing, and it just dials it back a lot. Yeah, so I don't get a lot of the eye thing, but I just feel, I don't know, something is like wrong. I don't know how to describe it. And I feel tired and sick, but yet I'm not sick. I mean, like, there's no germs. Yeah, I've been wiped out for a few days and eyes are sleepy, heavy, blurry, slimy, maybe a little. Yeah, it's for me it's been like today. I'm using arnica as a painkiller and quercetin. I tried arnica and I actually felt, if anything, a little worse. Arnica just doesn't do it for me. I had a headache that lasted half a day, never get headaches. So I actually didn't have hardly any Mandelas, but I just took the time today to just like look, and I found these ones. But I almost wanted to say it was a really slow week. And I think a lot of the ones I have now are like old ones, like that India one, that changed a while ago. Someone was saying their ear chakras were open. That's interesting. You know, there's been a lot of reports of ear clogging lately, and this ear for me has been getting real cloggy. So I just put the hydrogen peroxide on there and let it float in there for like 10 minutes, and that really gets rid of a lot of the wax. Tea relief is what I use instead of ibuprofen. Yeah, you know, I can use any of those, but it just seems like that 8-hour stuff is great because it's like, otherwise it wears off in 4 hours and then you have to take it again. But that one will last until the middle of the night, so I'll be like totally asleep before it dies. My ears have been making weird feelings and my eyes get tired. Yeah, there's something up with this is something I've really noticed in the past few years, is that if an ear gets kind of not happy, then the hole will kind of close up. So I don't know if it's like just, you know, Mandela changes in the ears or if it's just some kind of inflammation. But lately when I stick like a Q-tip in there, and I don't use them too much, but if I just took a shower, I'll sometimes use them. The Q-tip doesn't have a lot of space to go into the ear, and it did like 2 months ago, so the ear is more closed over here. I'm not sure if it's supposed to do that in the current timeline or not. I've never heard of anything about, like, they say it's genetic how big your ear canals are, but it just seems like they're changing all the time. Like, for a long time, this one was kind of small and this one was wider. Then it reversed. Then they were both pretty wide. Right now, this one's hugely wide, but this one's really small. I've never read anything about them supposedly changing. It's supposed to be, the size is supposed to be genetic. And if you have narrow canals, you're supposed to be prone to earwax buildup. So how do they keep changing? It doesn't make any sense. I have a giant sack of Q-tips that will last me like 10 years, and so they're always been the same size for this whole time, and yet sometimes I stick them in and there's like a ton of room, and other times it's tight. And short-term pain in different parts of the body, which I didn't have before. Yeah, that's really seems to be a symptom of the shifts, because something, you're like, your elbow really hurt, and you're like, oh, I hope I don't have anything wrong with my elbow. But in an hour later, it's totally gone, and there's no problem. And then maybe the other elbow will hurt. I'm like, what the heck? You know, most people use their different arms for very different things. There'd be no reason for both elbows to hurt very often. Okay, she's talking about the ear candling. I've never done that, but you know, if you just take, as long as you don't have any damage to the eardrum itself, as long as the ear itself is healthy and it's only wax in there, if you take hydrogen peroxide 3%, just that cheap stuff from the store, tilt your head and just drop a little bit in. I use like an ordinary dropper, and you drop it in there, and then I kind of just push gently to kind of loosen up the wax, and you can take the dropper and kind of squeeze a little to get the flow of the hydrogen peroxide, and you'll hear it in there going kind of fizzing, and it's the hydrogen peroxide reacting with the wax, and it loosens up the wax and it kind of dissolves it, and then the wax will be in the hydrogen peroxide dissolved. And then you can either, I will usually pull some of it out with the dropper, and then the rest, you just tilt your head and catch it with like a paper towel or something. And you can do it a couple times, because if you have a lot of wax, then the hydrogen peroxide will get really cloudy, and it's cloudy with wax. So sometimes I'll take it out and then I'll put fresh one in there. And the worst I ever had when I had a massive, massive clog is I had to do it for 3 days in a row to get the whole clog out. But since then, I'll just, if I feel it starting to get clogged, I'll just do that once, and that's enough. And it's easy, and it's cheap, because hydrogen peroxide costs like 88 cents for a giant, like an 8-ouncer of it. And that'll last you forever. I had wrist pain for no reason. It was coming and vanishing. Yeah, it's just weird. So, like, my knees will hurt, and then they won't. And it'll, like, be both of them. And then it just, and then the next day they're totally fine. Peroxide mixed with distilled water, then candle. Yeah, I just stick that peroxide in there. It's like easy. So just like turn on the TV or something so that you'll have something to do while you're waiting for it to fizz in there. It's the cheap way to do it. So if you get the professional stuff at the store that is made just for that, you'll find that it's like 95% hydrogen peroxide anyway. And then they'll have this fancy squeegee thing, which I don't like because you can't clean out in it. If you get an ordinary dropper, you can take the cap off and totally clean it. I've been seeing many people talking about new protocols in hospitals. If someone has got the poke, they give them IVO-M. Are we talking about the Nene paste? And if they're not vaxxed, they treat them with the old way. Interesting. So, the only thing I have not heard that. I have not heard any place in America allowing the Nene paste. Ivermectin, that one. Heretofore called the Nene paste because you're not allowed to talk about that on YouTube. I have not heard of anybody being allowed to get that easily in the United States. You can fight sometimes, and you can fight sometimes and get a prescription from online, like myfreedoctor.com is supposed to be really good. And they actually just work on donation. And you just go to myfreedoctor.com. It'll talk about how to contact them. And you can get legit online prescriptions from real doctors. And you can get a script for, the Nene paste. And so you still might have trouble getting the hospital to let you take that. I mean, there's been lawsuits on that. And since you can't go in there, you can't even smuggle it in. So that's tricky. I have not heard of that. Now, I have heard that Pfizer is coming out with a new treatment for the Rona, and operates in this very similar way to the Nene paste. Isn't that very interesting? Of course, this one is patented and costs a bunch of money. But it's this very similar mechanism, very interestingly. I heard this coming from Australia, and now they're reporting it from the USA. I'm going to have to look into that. I've not heard of that. The one thing I would say to be careful of, I've seen a whole bunch in the last 2 weeks, is the remdesivir. I've heard a lot of stuff about remdesivir causing organ failure and renal failure, kidney shutdown. And so if you look in the history of it, I think it was for Ebola. It was research for Ebola, and they did multiple drugs on different arms in this trial, and it did the worst. It had the least effect for Ebola, and it had the highest death rate. And again, they were having a lot of problems with organ shutdown and renal shutdown. So there's been a lot of grumbling lately about potential problems with remdesivir as far as it basically killing people. So just be real cautious about that. I haven't I think we've already talked about what I think is a much safer medication, and that doesn't mean that safer medication can't be in combination with other ones, but it just seems like we're hearing a lot of stuff about the medications being really dangerous right now. It's extremely disturbing. I'm waiting for CSLB, California Contractor State License Board, to require the Spear Britney for active license renewal. That is a good point. And so Biden has talked about working with OSHA in the United States. You guys aren't in here, so you might not have heard about it. But OSHA is like the board, the governmental board that monitors and makes regulations for workplace safety. So Biden does not have the legal authority to enforce anything on private enterprise, but OSHA does. And possibly California State License Board would be another way for the governor of California to enact stuff on contractors. So that would just be CSLB only is contractors. OSHA is for any employees. So if you're self-employed, OSHA has no power over you or me because I am self-employed. But basically, Biden has announced that he will try to get OSHA to require the Spears Brittany for any company that has 100 or more employees. So there's a big stink about that. Remdesivir's when they want to kill you. Yeah, I can't say that because, that might be wrong. And we would never say bad things like that. But, that does have an interesting history. So yeah, I also think that if Biden starts this 100 count employees thing, so it's starting off with either you get the Spears Brittany or you test weekly. Of course, that they're probably not going to be free testing, I would guess. And I also suspect that if he gets this through over time, that number is going to drop and it's going to be 75 employees and it's going to be 50 employees. I don't think we can assume that they're not going to move that goalpost. So, there's definitely companies that have like 102 employees that are going, well, I'll just fire these two. Or I'll just, you can fire people and then hire them as an independent contractor. And then they'll be safe because they work for themselves, so they don't have to get the Spears Brittany. That's a really good nickname, by the way. I like the Spears Brittany. I would really like to see the algorithms and the AI bots understand what the Spears Brittany that I am referring to really is. Our crime minister Trud is not better than Beijing, Josie. Yeah, oh gosh. It's called the Food and Drug Administration, not the Food and Health Protection Agency or something like that. What, are you talking about Mandela, or I'm not sure on that one? Anyway, we're treading on thin ice here as far as YouTube is concerned. But angels don't fall. That's a very good point about the CSLB, California State License Contractors Board. I don't know what power Newsom has over CSLB. CSLB would have to agree to work with him, and I don't know if they have the right people in place for that. And if Biden is going to do a nationwide thing, then they may not have to. They can just sit back and let Biden do it. But I got to say that now that, if you've heard, I think I already said that Newsom survived the recall. So our governor was not recalled. That was Tuesday, and he was not recalled. So a lot of us are really worried that he's going to tighten the thumb screws like really soon. So everybody's like, we're waiting for the other shoe to drop now. Because now that he doesn't have this recall hanging over his head, we're going into the flu season, we feel, so Newsom stayed in, basically. He didn't get recalled. So we're thinking now that he doesn't have this hanging over his head, he's going to go ahead and just like crank up the lockdowns and stuff he wanted to do this whole time. But he does have another election coming up in a year. So will that ameliorate some of this or not? I'm not sure. Self-employed contractors can still get fines and suspended licenses from OSHA, especially if you're an OSHA card holder. I've got the 10 HR even though I've got 500. It's not. I don't know on that. I'm not a contractor, though. I just sell stuff online. So I'm not a CSLB has no control over me because I don't need a license because I'm not doing like construction or anything like that. Now, I used to have a license when I painted houses, but now I don't. I don't need a CSLB. And my understanding at the time when I was a house painter is OSHA had no control over me. Now, if I had employees, then the employees fall under OSHA, and I, as an employer, would have to follow employee rules, OSHA rules for employees. So then I would be somewhat controlled by that. So, for instance, I think that I would not have to get the Spears Brittany, but my employees might have to. If it was over 100. So I don't know about that. So, like, we were always told, like, okay, say that there was an unsafe ditch to digging situation, you could not put your employee in there and have him dig that ditch, because that would be if it was in violation of OSHA safety, you could not have him dig that ditch. But you, as a owner and not an employee, could jump in there and dig that ditch yourself and then jump out once it was done, because OSHA does not apply to you. You're allowed to do dumb stuff, basically. Like, I used to go on the roof all the time in my flip-flops, and if the roof was really slippery, I would just go barefoot, because the feet really grab onto slippery surfaces better than shoes do. But if I had an employee, I could not let them do that ever. So I don't know on some of this other stuff, though. Okay, so we're talking about CSLB, California State License Board. They have more power than the governor and don't answer or take orders from whoever is in office. Okay. See, I'm just wondering with OSHA, did they like get people in place or what, that he's able to tell OSHA what to do? Maybe they've gotten the right people in positions. Maybe CSLB hasn't. But, you know, that is definitely an area that I now have more concern about. I'm not for me, but just, you know, the people of California. Once we were against our government being in our house, now they're getting in our bodies. Yep. Anything over 500 materials or labor contracted without a license can land you in jail and fined. Yes, that's right, but I do not contract. I used to paint houses and I had a CSLB license, but now I just sell stuff online. And it's not a contractor job, and CSLB has no jurisdiction on that. So I have a license for fictitious business name, and that's it. And there's no OSHA or nothing. Now, if I was in contracting of some type, then yes, that would be a concern. But I'm not. In fact, I've been offered jobs and I turned them down because it's just, I can't do my old painting job plus my current job. And my current job is frankly easier and pays better. So, yeah, it's a workman's comp issue with OSHA, but they have the power to walk on any job site that is licensed or unlicensed contractor. Employees are not, and work side by side with CSLB. All right, you know, I don't know all the latest stuff, but my understanding was basically, as a self-employed person with no employees, OSHA had no jurisdiction on me. Now, if I had employees, quite possibly, or they could check for employees possibly and see if there was anything in there that they would have jurisdiction over. But they didn't. Now, CSLB had some jurisdiction on me because I was a licensed contractor. But without employees, my understanding is OSHA had no jurisdiction on me. Anybody see the Three Stooges announcement today? I'm not sure what that one is, and I didn't see it. So I'm not sure which Stooges we're talking about here. There's so many. Here too in the Netherlands, only allowed to enter the restaurants, hotels, and cafes by QR code that you have the Action Jackson, the Spears Brittany, probably next, only allowed to work. Yeah. So here it's interesting because it seems like they're going after workers first, but not restaurants so much. Maybe it's just because Biden doesn't have the power to do that. And so he's going where he does have power, which is employees. Now I can read here, there are still people waiting for the start of the show is due to transmission. I don't know, because I started on time and it seems like you guys are all here. You could only buy and sell with the mark. Yeah. Um, so what's that saying now? Mark of the beast or number of his name, I believe. I had said before that I thought it changed. It's not just mark of the beast, it had changed. And that no man may buy or sell save that he had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. So this for me has changed. It was changed a while ago. It used to just be mark of the beast. You couldn't buy or sell unless you had the mark of the beast. But at some point it changed to you could also have the number of his name, the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. So that's interesting because in other places the warnings are still mostly about, in fact, exclusively about the mark of the beast. So like if you had the mark of the beast, there's no saving you. You're going to have, the final punishment. So that those passages, last I checked, still just said don't get the mark of the beast. But now no man might buy or sell unless they have the mark of the beast, the name of the beast, or the number of his name. So that kind of sounds like you could still buy or sell if you have the name of the beast or the number of his name. But those two won't doom you to hell. Only the mark will. Don't get the mark. But you could still buy or sell if you have the name or the number. So obviously I'll try to have none, but it sounds to me like a loophole has shown up in the Bible is what it looks like to me, because now they're saying you could still buy or sell with these other two options, but only this first option, the mark, is what's going to doom you. So I feel like, I've said it before, we create our own realities. If we do, then we need to create loopholes. We have to create ways around this issues that are coming up. We have to find paths around. And so if this is one of them, which I really hope it is, that means that maybe things will become highly inconvenient for us, but it won't be as bad as we feared. We've got to find the loopholes. Yeah, name of the beast and number. So when did I see that? I think it was like 6 months or even a year ago. It was some time ago. So for a while it was mark of the beast or number, and then the name thing showed up. So first there was 2 options, and now we've got 3 options. If they can enforce the mask in the restaurants, they can probably enforce the QR code too. Home. Okay, so here's the thing with these mandates is that they never were actual law. And the way they were being controlled was licensing boards were pushing the workers to do that, like the owner of the business. And it was always questionable whether it was law or not anyway. Like if you got a ticket, if you went to court, it's not really a legislative law. So stuff was getting thrown out. So license boards can force the employees and the owner to do something, but can they force customers to do something? I don't know if it stretches that far, because I don't think the license boards, like, the restaurant license board has power over the customers. They might have power over the employees and the employer. So it may not stretch that far. I mean, again, I'm not a lawyer, but you could see kind of a division there. In Israel, only after 3 spears Brittany, you are considered to be completely speared. 3rd is the butcher. Yes, they're moving the goalposts. So now, 2 weeks after the final spear, you're not fully speared until 2 weeks after the final spear. But in Israel now, After 3 months, again, you are not fully speared and you got to get another Spears Brittany. So you're really only fully Spears Brittany if it for 2.5 months. Then you got to do it again. So now I assume it'll be every 3 months after that. I mean, are they going to count like the 2 weeks after the booster as fully Spears Brittany, or is that still not Spears Brittany? Because that's one thing I have not heard the answer to. Is the second you get the booster, now you're fully Spears Brittany, or is it 2 weeks after? I do not know. Because that's another way to hide, to be fuzzy with the math if they're counting those 2 weeks after the booster as not fully Spears Brittany. If anything happens to you for 2 weeks after that poke, it doesn't go into the same category as 2 weeks after. How many people who got poked twice are not going for the third? I've definitely heard a lot of people who were pretty gung-ho on the first two are really not convinced about the third one. And a lot of these people are retired, so they're not going to be able to, CSLB or employees or all that stuff are not going to be able to force them to do diddly squiddlies. But there's been a lot of yammer about hospitals putting you at the back of the line for care if you don't have the Spears Brittany. And there's nothing official yet, but it really sounds like that might come down the chute, and that might scare some of the old people. Because what else is going to scare the old people? They're retired. They don't care about OSHA. They don't care about California State License Board. A lot of them don't even travel that much. But medical care, that will scare them. If there's a talk about there not being enough medical care to go around and you're not going to get any if you have to go into the hospital, that I think will scare some of the older people. So I feel like that maybe they're working on that angle right now. Many people are walking away from their jobs because of this. Yeah, and that's why the hospitals are going to be in bad shape this winter, I suspect. I'm hearing many stories that they were already really understaffed with all that's been going on for 2 weeks, for 2 years now almost. For many reasons, people quit. It was stressful. They were afraid of getting sick. They were sick of all the additional baloney. I've also heard that they had pretty much closed a lot of the schools, like the nursing schools, so we could not get replacement nurses for the ones that are burnt out and leaving and quitting. So they were already really understaffed, and now we're firing the ones that don't have the Spears Brittany. So they're really understaffed, and it's getting to the point where they can't just work extra shifts to cover it. And I think this winter we might really see that they're going to say that the hospitals are full, and they're going to be full not because of lack of beds, but because of lack of staff. So now you think that a lot of hospitals are 95% full in the winter on a normal year, and then we have maybe Spears Brittany side effects plus the Rona plus the normal flu. It could be bad for reals this winter. So you guys try to be really healthy as you can. Let him who hath understanding reckon the number of the beast, for it is man's number, 666. Yeah, we're still kind of trying to figure out where that number comes in. I wonder if it's gonna get revealed kind of at the last minute or something. People have had bad experiences with it, no longer going along with it. Yeah, well, I think a lot of people are like, okay, I've done it, and they didn't sign up to do this forever, especially every 3 months, which is a lot. They're starting to see the writing on the wall. On the flip side, though, if it's harder to get a job, you might get denied hospital treatment. Are they going to be able to stick up for their opinions after all that? I don't know. Okay, well, we're walking on the wild side there. Hopefully of course, it's all just opinions. I'm not telling you at all what to do. We all understand that. Okay, that covers most of that. Yep. The screws are tightening, though, and they're tightening quickly. You ever feel like they're really in a rush with this business? It's craziness. Ooh, it looks like I've got almost everything. Got that one. Tuna, manta, vitruvian, spalding, India. 9/11. Yeah, well, they got 2 left. Okay, this one. Everything will be shown in the next couple months. Yeah, I just keep praying that we'll get through it and like there'll be a better side on the other side. I'm just like, it's really scary because you're like, okay, is it just going to be like some kind of dystopia or are we going to get through it? I'm like, I'm looking for the timelines where we get through it. Wake up, people. The split that has to happen has to happen. I hope it doesn't take super long. You think there's underground cities? Oh, okay. I am very suspicious that there didn't used to be a lot of that, but now we're constantly seeing underground stuff that I swear I've never heard of before. Even just all those like caverns full of skeletons and stuff. So probably here, to what extent, maybe that's still developing, but probably. I mean, if you're asking if there's like tunnels full of secret children that they're pumping for adrenochrome, yeah, I don't think there's very good evidence of that. But so yeah, I covered Spalding. Everybody pretty much remembers ALDING here. I remember AULDING, but I think it was a while ago. Secret Society, Modern Villages, Underground. Is that like something I should Google? I don't want to get, I mean, is there really evidence for it? I think it seems like anytime there's something that becomes really popular in the imagination of society, it sort of shows up now, or at least some kind of evidence for it is, like some version of it. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw something just for that reason. But so far, I have not seen a lot of evidence of it. There was something about when Earth rang like a bell for 20 minutes. Earth ran. I remember that being the moon ran like a bell. So they like dropped a bomb on the moon a couple years ago, and they said it rang like a bell. I have not heard about Earth ringing like a bell. Let's see. Do we have something like that now? Earth rang like a bell. I'm quite positive it was the moon. But let's just see what we got for Earth. Earth, oh, that's interesting. The Earth just rang like a bell. We don't know why. In November of 2018. No. That was the moon. Okay, this is interesting. This just smells like Mandela, too, because it's like it's spread from the moon to here. That was posted on May 24th, 2019. A massive seismic event was felt all across the globe a few years back, causing the planet to essentially ring like a bell, its source unknown at the time. Has anybody ever heard of this before just now? Seismometers placed all around the globe recorded this mysterious phenomena. The experts were left stunned. Only now do we know what happened and what seismometers across the world recorded. An underground eruption has just given to rise to a brand new volcano 800 meters high with a base of around 5 kilometers. The entire formation process was caused more than 2,000 earthquakes to appear near the island of Mayotte, caused the entire planet to ring like a bell. One of the most significant geological events in history has generated the birth of a new volcano. Now, I don't remember volcanoes rising 800 meters in such a short time either. It used to be kind of a slow, gradual phenomena. Experts are calling it the most significant underwater eruption ever observed. Took place in the Indian Ocean. Okay, I've never heard of this until like just now. Interesting. Have you guys heard of this until recently? So it was years ago. The mystery, and then in 2019 the answer. So the 2018 is when it happened. A low frequency sound was recorded by experts around the globe. The event continued for 20 minutes. Never been registered before. So that in 2019, supposedly they figured it out. I have never heard of any of this business. So, yes, good find. $2018. I'm going to add that to my list. Yeah, huh? Weird. Earth is calling. I don't know. What Earth is it that's calling? We have the Black Door, a box out there. 29 Palms, USMC base. It's been there. Yeah, I remember that base. 29 Palms. Lake Baldwin and Big Bear drained overnight in the 80s. Okay, but, I mean, if a crack opened up, then water could drain out fast. I mean, it doesn't mean there's a city under there. There's fairly good argument that it could easily happen. Like, for instance, another lake supposedly drained really fast because there was underground mining, and the water broke into the mining shafts and drained. So that could be it. Or it could be just kind of like a fissure. So there's a whole bunch of possible explanations. I mean, I'm not saying I know what it is, but there's a lot. And I'm not sure what 29 Palms has to do with it. I mean, that is interesting. Yes, that's been around my whole life, 29 Palms. You know, because I'm in California, so it's not that far from here. Well, like I said, if anything is really popular in the current society, it seems like we're going to find some evidence for it. Is it really there? Are there really, just because we find evidence, is there really humans experiencing that? Or is it just part of the Matrix storyline? I don't know. Do we actually create a timeline where it exists just by thinking about it? Do we manifest it? I really have yet to figure that out. It seems like a lot of this stuff that shows up, there's already an excuse why I can't check it out. Like, there's underground tunnels in LA now. It's supposed to be an old tunnel system built long ago. But right when I found out about it, the storyline is people used to sneak around in these tunnels for many years. But just recently, the city has cracked down and blocked the entrances, and they put security up so you can't go in. Just right when I find out about it, you also can't go. Isn't that a strange coincidence? So I think it's kind of fishy that, they show up, but you can't go check them. Not everybody can go to the same place. There has to be some kind of cover story for that, like why they're gone. You can't just have all these people disappearing out of your life all over. People would start talking about it. But we have a storyline now for why. So I really am suspicious that the people who go were meant to go. That was their schedule. And maybe in another timeline they woke up and they totally recovered. I don't know, but it just seems the timing is weird. I said before, at the end of 2019, it seemed like a lot of people were dying. Like, this was on the news every day that these people, and it was all, car accidents, overdoses. It was everything under the sun. Most of it could not be attributed to any early viruses. People who aren't down for the Spears Britney will just form an underground network. Yes, that I think that will happen. And then they'll use that as an excuse for the Mark of the Beast. Oh, we've got to implant evidence in you. So, I think that's how it's going to come to pass. They drilled a tunnel to March Air Force Base. So, I mean, it makes sense that there'd be some underground tunnels for the military. I mean, we know we have, bases in case there's a nuclear holocaust and stuff. I mean, are really doing anything under there, living under there? I don't know. You know, there's aliens under there, or is there pedophile cities under there? Is the military just operating out of under there? Is it just kind of empty in case there's a Holocaust under there? I don't know. I think there's arguments for all of the above. Or they just built a tunnel so they could get back and forth between the bases and carry their secret bombs and crap without much problems. Like, I was just driving to work a couple days ago, and literally there was a military vehicle with a trailer, and the trailer had 2 big effing bombs on it. They were about maybe 6 foot long, really fat bombs. So they were like really fat, and then they had the 4 fins on the back. They looked like there would be something that you would drop straight down. They weren't the kind that looked like they blast or shoot because they were so fat and they weren't really aerodynamic. So it looks like something that you just have gravity take it straight down, and there was just enough fin to make sure it didn't flip around while it was dropping. 2 big ones, and the thing was driving like a snail. And weirdly, they had like this red ordinary car following it with the emergency flashers on. I'm like, that can't be legal, can it? Don't they have to have some kind of official lighted vehicle? The government doesn't follow its own rules, but I'm like, really? They're just dragging bombs through the city? Like, you almost wish they had an underground tunnel then. I mean, I can only hope those bombs weren't super dangerous, but they were driving like really slow with those bombs. So it wasn't a highway. It was through the normal streets of the city. They were going so slow even for normal streets. So, you know, most people go about 45 mile an hour on that street, and they were going like, I don't know, 30, 25, which is slow because, you know, it's like almost half speed. And they just have this car with ordinary emergency flasher. It was weird. Transmission has just stopped. I don't know what's up with YouTube. It says it's still on my end. I can see it's still going over here. So I think there's something fishy with YouTube going on. I think they moved the convoys underground. They could be fuel tanks shaped like bombs. I don't know. They were kind of puny for... I think they were bombs. I'm sorry, but they had the fins on the back so that they would fall straight. I've never seen a tank with the fins on the back. Let me see if I can find one that looks like it. And they were clearly like plunked on there. All of the tank trucks I've seen have the tank integrated. Let me see if I can find one that looks like it. Images. They were really fat, but they kind of like this. This is kind of the shape. It didn't have all that printing on it. So it was even fatter than this, and then the fins didn't have this bit. They didn't have this bit. They were just like this. And then imagine this is even fatter. I mean, the bomb was as fat as the fins. Here, the bomb is not as fat as the fins. See if I can find another one. I really should have took a picture, but I kind of got on it at the last minute, and I didn't want to cause like a car accident. I don't even see any that are as fat. Well, it kind of looked like this one. It really did look like these World War II bombs. And it was just like, one of them was red and one was just like this gray color. They didn't even look like, the shape was the same, but the colors were different. I mean, if they were actually transporting World War II bombs, that would be really fishy. Now, maybe they were empty inside, and they were just pulling them slowly so that they didn't get bouncing around or something. Then I won't have an issue, but... See, like, this is the shape. But imagine they're even fatter, and then these fins are less. And there was no holes in the fins either. But that really is the shape. Yeah, it reminded me of, like, atomic bombs or something. Like, images I've seen. I don't think they were that big, but that same shape. Super fat. So, I don't know. Yeah, do you have any idea? They also ship huge escort loads in the dark of night while everyone is sound asleep. Yeah, I'm not... yeah, I haven't seen a lot coming through here. I frankly turned into such a night owl that I often drive home at like 2 o'clock in the morning. I still don't see them. I have seen images of the gigantic tunnel digging machines. Yes, I've seen those. Now, supposedly use them to build like regular highway tunnels and stuff. But yeah, who the heck knows? I don't know. And if they do build them, then what are they doing in there, you know? Okay, so I got 2 left. Guess I'll do this one. Okay, so... I don't know if you've heard of those like glands that are in the beaver's butt. So these glands, castoreum, go for a lot of money. So I've heard about that maybe 8-10 years ago. But for me, then when I looked into it, it was just like a perfume thing. They use it for perfumes, okay? And they use a lot of weird stuff for perfumes, including skunk and all that. They just put tiny amounts in it. And so this was one of the things. Well, so I was pretty surprised today to see that the story now is that they're not used for perfumes. They're used for food flavoring, specifically like vanilla and strawberry. So now it's vanilla and strawberry flavored. And the perfume, you don't eat it. It goes on you. But now you're like eating it. And I totally looked into this before. So they're saying that the beaver butt smells good. Like strawberry and vanilla. And I went online and there's even people saying that the gland itself smells good. So I really feel like this story has altered. And I really do not remember this being... It is kind of one of my areas of interest, weird stuff like this. Which is why I looked it up in the first place. You may have heard the rumor by now, certain artificial flavorings like vanilla, raspberry, and strawberry are made from the anal secretions of a beaver. If you haven't heard that rumor, you might just spit out your coffee. Sorry. So we're set out to clear up what's true and what's not. A beaver's posterior, believe it or not, smells good. Like really good, according to Joanne Crawford. a wildlife ecologist who told National Geographic that she loves putting her nose down there and breathing it all in. Oh, but it's beavers. It smells really good. So, it was just it was before it was like skunk ones. It didn't smell good, but very small amounts mixed with a whole lot of other good smelling stuff together became good. They weren't good by themselves. Castoreum is so favorably fragrant that we've been using it to flavor ice cream, chewing gum, pudding, and brownies. Basically anything that could use a vanilla, raspberry, or strawberry substitute for at least 80 years. Beavers use this to communicate with each other, mark territory, deter predators, and establish colonies. So is our like proverbial shite going to not stink anymore? At least the beavers ones aren't now. Who was the first person to put his face on a beaver's butt? Probably some kind of trapper and skinner person, but we do know the Romans burned castoreum in lamps because they thought the fumes caused abortions, and trappers have used it to lure animals since at least the 1850s. I've not heard of that. Okay, so yeah, I don't know what to say, but no, that wasn't there last time I checked. "80 years. All right, Petit Penguin remembers it from 2014. I've got a major Emmy that blew away recall vector. Well, I don't know. What is it then? Strawberry glands. Yeah. One time when I was really little at Camp Pendleton, we were on the military beach, and out of the water, out comes a tank with a cap on the turret. Oh, interesting. So they had tanks that would go underwater. Kind of makes sense. I've not heard of those, though. Okay, Shari's talking about Odyssey account. I just can't get my Odyssey account to work, and Odyssey does not respond to any of my queries whatsoever. So I don't know what's up with Odyssey. Okay, so that's one. And the other one is this one. I have no idea if this is a Mandela. You guys tell me. I don't know. I know I've never experienced it. That's all I can say. Pee shivers. Do you shiver when you pee? Especially, I guess it's more common in men. It's more common when you're standing when you pee. And it's more common if you have lots of pee that you will like shiver. I've never heard of this before. I'm not a guy. I don't know. Do you pee when you shiver? Have you always peed when you shiver? Is it new? I don't know. But it was pretty bizarre, so I figured, hey, what the heck? We've got beaver butts. Why don't we have pee shivers? There's a fancy name for it. Post-micturition convulsion syndrome. also known informally as shivers, is experience of shivering during or after urination. The syndrome appears to be more frequently experienced in males. The term was coined in 1994 on the online question and answer column, The Straight Dope, when a user inquired about the phenomena. They have all these theories that maybe it has to do with like loss of body heat. Some people say they feel cold. So it either happens either during or right after the release. I don't know. Is this a thing? I've never heard of it. But, you know, like I said, I'm not a dude. Some people say it might be mixed signals in the autonomic nervous system and peripheral nervous system. They're saying it hasn't been studied. Oh, what? Looks like there's fainting, too. I've not heard of that one. How common is it? Okay, so that's micturition syncope. I've not heard of that one. Alright. Anyways, yeah, is it a thing? Have you ever heard of it? I don't know. Okay, we got one that says yes. Well, they said it's mostly guys, but they also said it happens more. So they say it happens more if you stand up, and so guys are usually the ones standing up, so maybe that's why. I don't know. Get the last drop out. I don't know. I thought it was a little strange. You know, anatomies change a lot. Well, the guys will have to tell me. And if you have it, did you always have it? I mean, did you have it 20 years ago? So we got a lot of women on here, and they haven't heard of it. But, yeah, I don't know. I had a lot of, hopefully I won't get some kind of adult content warning, because this has been a little bit of a show. And I tried not to go there, but, you know, it's hard to cover the material otherwise. Anyways, so I'm about done. Like I want to say it's been a slow week. A lot of this stuff seems like it might have been older, and I'm just catching it up to it now. So unless you guys have anything to add, thank you for coming. Keep your eyes open with what the government's doing. Of course, we would never go against the government because we are all obedient sheeples, right? Never heard of shivers. Anyways, so anyway, thanks for coming, guys. Appreciate all your help, contributions. Try to stay positive. Look for the loopholes. Look for the ways around. I think they'll be there. And the more we look for them and more we expect them to be there, I think they will be there. Solutions to problems, make them in your mind, find them, grow them in your head, because we're going to need them and we're going to want them. And I think they could be there. Think good thoughts, everybody. This is Eva signing off for Once Upon a